This is the console. Okay, so I'm pretty happy. We talked to Audio Concept. Audio Concept is got our new Alpine coming, and we're probably going to flush mount the screen now. But what I'm going to do before I leave this behind for a week, I'm going to trim this bottom edge. And what we're going to do is we're going to tuck the sides up underneath. So this will be upholstered right over to the edge. So before I spend a bunch of time hammering this all nice and flat, wheeling it, I'm going to put a mark down here, and I'm going to grind it, cut it, zip it, file it, make it nice and even, because you're going to see that edge once this console is installed. So there it is, roughed in the hole in the center. Again, we have to put this away for a while, but I do want to clean up those edges just so I can set it in the car and have a good look. All right. I'm going to put a felt mark around it so the tape can fall off and it's all right. There. Oh, I will get the air compressor fired up. So I've been working back and forth very, very gently. Okay, that's more like it. Now the other side. Complete change of methods. These are my sides. Well. First, I need to put this back in the car and reacquaint myself with how far forward this goes. All right, I want to get a new height for my sides. Now, this is a bit too high, I would say. I would think the back should drop down a little more. So I haven't opened this up yet. The thought, now, that it goes all the way up there. So we're trying to find balance, as always. So what I can do is I can measure my height here from the side and know that this has to be at least 8 inches here, minimum 8. And this I guess we could make it 8 as well. So if I pick those 2 spots and I lay this on the new chunk of sheet metal on the wall, I know what angle to take this up at. Once again, I'm afraid I have to stop because they may want this angled farther up for the stereo box that goes in here, and we may flush mount the screen in there yet. So this is what I was running into, where I was thinking I might have to stop. Right now I'm going, okay, let me make up the sides so I can at least get that going ahead. But I can't, because I may have to change that angle, so this absolutely has to stop right now, which is driving me crazy, because this is the fun piece. So this is done. I guess my next step, Cassidy found a spot way back when. She said I had some thin metal down here. Can't really see it, but I'm going to tilt this up. I'm going to replace that little piece. I'm just going to give a once over, and I am going to find a way to secure the lid over the battery box. And I'm going to install the battery hold down. I will do that today. I will grind some nasties, and then I'm going to start priming and cleaning up underneath and priming. There's a spot here to fix, probably cut that out, weld the piece in. We are there. I've been looking the other way, trying to get everything else done. Been having a lot of fun, but it's really got to get done. I wanted to go over this line here. I couldn't clean it up with the fender bolted on, so now I'm going to try to do that. And I'll probably body work a little bit of the front, just little bits here and there. So we're looking pretty good. I'm afraid I just have to say whoa on the console. I really think it should be coming down a lot lower. But we're going to find out. All depends on how big that box of stereo is. That's pretty cool, look. Yeah. Okay, now on some really zowie complete customs, this is where you take this line here and you carry that and you bring it down the door with built-in armrests, right? You can start from here. I mean, there's no end to it. What a cool car. All right. And Lou came down last night and finished taking the pistons out of the Pontiac motor. Well, it's a Chevy motor going in the 64 Parisian, so she's got to take the mains off with my dad there, and we'll figure out whether it's going to the machine shop or not. Cheers for now. All right, when Cassidy was helping, she noticed, whoops, just a minute. Hey, when Cassidy was helping do the body work here, she was noticing these tiny little spots here. So she left it, pointed it out to me. So now that I can't get really forward on the console yet, I'm I'm going to cut this out and replace that. And it's just tiny little spots that we know it's got to be fixed. So I'm glad she noticed that. I'm sure I would have found it, but anyhow, she did. So I'm going to chop that out, make a new piece, because I want to start priming. Anywhere there's 2 layers of metal, that's where it starts to rust quickest. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay. Okay, so I think I'll blast a little bit in there. Make sure we've got it all clean. And then we'll prime and we'll weld a piece over top. Very simple. Oh, look at that. Okay. So, do a break in it, I'll trim it, come back and see you in a bit. Okay. Let's tap it in. A little too far. A little too far. Okay. Guess I better find a welding helmet. Need a screwdriver. Okay. Okay. We got that welded up and ground. So now we're going to move over and we're going to fix this here. So I'm going to level the car off. And probably quickest, easiest just to cut that out and weld in a new piece of steel. So that's what I'll do at the back. Moving right along. Let that cool off. Trace it. And we can cut a piece and weld her back in. Okay, this is the lower steering column mount. You see this swivel? Now this is held on to this plate by 3 Allen head countersunk bolts. I could, and this is meant to line up with 2 bolt holes that used to be underneath here. So this would go up in there. We decided, instead of having another loose piece, I cut and welded in the firewall so it's 1 unit. So now, so you can set your column whatever angle you want, then you tighten it here, and that stops the bottom of the column from moving around. So I'm going to take this ring right off, and because we've put in a solid piece of metal, I can now simply put this on. I'll use this as the template, drill holes, and this is going to bolt to the inside of the floor. And this will secure the bottom of the steering column. And it makes a big freaking difference. This needs an extra piece of 1/4 inch rubber around it, which I didn't have, but we managed to line everything up the way we wanted. So I'm taking these screws out. You can see they're pretty tiny. So 1/8 Allen head countersunk. So that's our piece. There's the holes. So I'm going to have to put this on the outside of the vehicle, mark the holes, drill it, and then I can put this piece on. You'll notice they have a taper. Okay, that goes to the bottom naturally. So 2 at the bottom, 1 at the top. So I'm going to grab my felt pan, and I'm going to go outside the vehicle. I'll take you out there and show you what I'm up to. Okay, so here's the piece. It was pretty easy to center it over the hole we made. Now, you just got to make sure that it's level. Yep. That was handy. Okay, I drill those holes out. Put this piece in. At that point, we will test fit, just to make sure we're as smart as I think I am. Oh, and I almost forgot, Pat's Auto brought us out a battery for Lou's John Deere tractor. And I gotta go put that in there so she can go plow a bunch of snow. Okay, I'm gonna have to make them bigger. I just want to get my pilot holes in. I'll get a bigger drill bit. Good deal. Allen wrench. Well, it worked. Got it started. Dropped my wrench. There it is. Okay. And let's go. Okay. Whoop. Gotta scooch it over just a bit. That is the technical term. Yes. Yes. Okay. So now we can angle that. And I'm going to slide the column in and just make sure it's all good. So I'll come back when I get the column ready. So I had to shape the inside to fit this curve. So I just had to slightly radius it. And the chances are I'm going to do a little dimpling before I'm done here. So these sit a little more flush, or I could get binding head screws. They were countersunk because they were meant for a different application in that plate they send with it. But that was just another layer of inaccuracy we didn't need. So now I've got this mounted. I'm going to go get the steering column, going to slip it in, and I'd left this incredibly tight because once I get this, I may find that I want to make it lower or who knows. But that's why I cut it tight, and left it until I could fit it at this point. So let's get the steering column. And here is the steering column. Okay. Let's see how we're doing. Turn it a bit. Okay, it's looking good. I'm going to angle the bottom down because right now I'm coming straight. It's got to angle up. That means the bottom of that hole has got to go down a bit. So let's come back and hog that out. Okay, I put this in place. I traced. I'm not going to make this that big, but I'm going to trim the bottom of this so that the column can actually come through the firewall. A 1/4 inch in case we need to. Whew. Just almost. Okay. This right. So just up in the dash where it belongs, we have full travel. So I'm just going to check the inside. Yep, that is good. I am going to come down a hair more just because that's what I want to do. So I'll bring the bottom down just a hair more so it's not actually touching, and then we'll call it good and we're done. Perfect. Done. Okay. And now I gotta clean up. But there's a bunch of cleanups. Time to do some body work. Let's get this thing looking real good. Hammer a little bit more. Good day. Stuff is happening. I have the shop to myself. So I suppose with that in mind, it's a good time to prime. So I'm going to prime this door, outer tailgate, front pan, hood, fender, another door, another fender. After I prime that, I may wheel in the body and prime the roof. We just had a couple of days, went to Rust Bros, saw Mike and Cass, loaded up a bunch of furniture, got moved back here. So now, it's time to hightail it. Not hightail it, to give her. Lots of work to do. So, hopefully, this will easily prime. I see I have one spot here I need to touch up. Cassidy had pointed out had a, I think there was a crack or something there in the metal. Anyhow, so I gotta fix that. And a little bit of sanding underneath this headlight. But the outers on these are ready to go. And it's time. I gotta get some pipes in here. I like to hang stuff up when I'm priming it. We're gonna be using the polyester. It really feels good to be priming finally. So, that's what we're up to today. I'll set this up and you can carry along and see what I'm up to. Okay, now for some interesting stuff, at least to me. We're going to use what we call, this is a ProForm grip, flexible urethane foam. Now, sometimes it's flexible pillar foam, there's different names for it. What it is skins, trunk lids, hood skins, usually had some type of a glue, flexible though, in between the skin and the inner structure. This allowed some movement, but stopped it from oil canning or rattling and helped maintain its crown. So we've gone to great effort to make this wonderful. I'm trying to, okay, I gotta set this phone up here. Just a second here, bear with me. Okay, so I might have to get the pliers, break that out. Yep, back in a second here. So what they do is they give you these disposable tips. And you can see by the shape, they mix the two, part A and part B. As they go down this long tube, they mix. Now, they still advise you to spread some out on a piece of cardboard or something, the first little bit, just to make sure it's mixing well, before you start putting it on your hood. This stuff is expensive. So, I'm gonna start putting it in my holes here. There's another hole up there you can't really see. See if I can get both of these in. You can just sort of see that. Well, we'll concentrate on that one. So, you start squishing it. There's two plungers in this gun, right? Now you can see it's starting to come out, right? Now it mixes inside the tube. Usually it's two different colors, but okay. Looks like it's nicely mixed. So I'm going to spread some around. Now, this does make a bit of a mess. I may end up, yes, right now, I'm going to prop up the front of this hood. So it doesn't run out on me quite so bad. Now, I'm waiting for it to start expanding. And it's not yet, and it should be. Come on. Okay, I suppose that was part of the deal, but running it out and letting it mix. So, I'm going way back in here as far as I can. Now it's not like it's a high expansion foam. Well, it does expand, but not with a bunch of force where it's going to change things, the shape of your panels. So I will be coming back, and I'll be having to clean this up with a biscuit. Okay, so the reason I'm lifting this up. Okay, so what you start to see happening is it expands like that, right? And that's what we were looking for. So, There. Now, these tips, they're no good. They give you a few tips. Sometimes I buy extra bags because they're no good after a few minutes. It sets up and they're done. So that was the main thing. I got all the way down here. Once that cures, you're gonna see this hood is tighter. So you can see that foam expanding. Oh, what a mess. Yes. So I've still got to grind the insides of the hood along that edge where I was gapping. So we'll get that. Anyhow, now I'm going to put up a fender. I'm going to clean up the edges and get this all ready to prime. I'm trying to decide whether or not I should leave these on while I prime. I can take these off. It's almost cured. Definitely not all of it. So I want to mask the backside of these holes and then cover it up. I just don't really want to take this off yet until this stuff, the foam, has cured. I'm going to go grab some tape here and tape up some holes. Masking is a huge part. It doesn't get much respect, but I'll tell you, if you don't do a good job masking, it's a disaster. A lot of times we paint cars, I got the motor in the car, all that beautiful chrome polished billet, and there's no way you're cleaning it without yanking the motor. And I know people have had to do that, and that's a disaster. So I'm masking up holes to make sure I don't get overspray coming through. It will land on this aluminum because I believe I'll leave the aluminum on there for now. I also, I think I will mask up the inside here just to make it a little less likely to have an issue. So doing the outside of the car, I definitely think we'll be asking for Mr. Meticulous to give me some assistance masking the outside of the car. He does the nicest job of masking of anybody I've ever worked with. And, oh, my friend Rubber Arm, sorry, Midnight Paint and Body. Check out their YouTube. He sent me pictures of a vehicle he's got to make some panels for from the 19s, like before 1920. Like, how freaking cool is that? I don't want to give it away. Yeah, of course, you have to go check out John's channel to check it out. But that'd be the oldest I've ever worked on one. 1922, oldest vehicle I ever worked on. And that is now here in my shop where it lives. So I'm trying to decide now, do I take it apart? I mean, geez. I think I will mask it up. Yes, I'm gonna mask it up. It's the safest way. Yeah, there's all kinds of masking machines you can buy. I have bought several. That'll make me very happy. pretty hard to find a good one. So I generally don't use them. I have my paper hanging from overhead from pipes, and then I just tear off the strip and tape it up. I would very much like to find a machine that was good and lasted. So anyhow, the idea being we get the outside primed and then we can sit it down like this, and I can body work, seal and paint the inside of this panel. And the next step after that is it goes onto the car and we do our final block. Because Cassidy got the bodywork good enough that we'll only need one more sanding. So all I really have to make sure of is I mask it perfectly well. I don't get primer on these inners. And using the polyester, I have used urethane. Well, when I started, you use lacquer primer, which used to shrink a lot. And it air dried, there was no catalyst. So the car looks great. You put on lots of primer, scuffed it when you're working in the collision shop, right? And 6 months later, it's sitting out in the sun and it keeps drying and curing. Drying, not curing. Anyhow, so you end up with shrinkage and you see dents, scratches, all the stuff you filled with the primer months ago. So when you saw guys doing a high-end, let's say a Bentley or something, there was guys who'd give a car, you know, 15, 20 coats of lacquer primer, and then they'd park it in a nice storage area and let it sit for 6 months before you sand it. That's the kind of thing you had to do with those lacquer primers. You've got to let it sit for months if you want to be 100% sure. So if you're doing a high-end resto back in the day, that's some of the stuff you had to account for. Now the materials now are catalyzed. I use the polyester, high viscosity, does a great job. I have tested it. We have primed pieces of bare metal with 36 grit scratches. Just put primer on it, scuffed it, and then threw it outside and let it sit for 6-8 months. Bring it back in and have a look at it. It did not shrink, and that's important. So, I'm very happy with the polyesters. There's so many, there's polyurethane primers, which work very good. Sort of the standard primer to use. User friendly, but I find they still shrink too much. You can pile it on and it looks great, but it'll finish curing down the road and you end up with scratches, waves. So I'm going to guess the majority of people are using urethane primer. That's great. You just have to, if I use urethane primer, I sand it, open it up, and then I let it sit for a week, and then I finish sanding it. Or I have a heat lamp. And you'll see that in a lot of production shops. They have heat lamps going so the guys can prime, bake it, and throw the heat lamp on it, and block it out real quick, same day paint, and there shouldn't be a problem with shrinking. Now again, yeah, I guess that works. When you're doing a complete like this, I'm not going to risk or go through that. If I had to do a touch-up on the car, perhaps. But we're doing complete. And I'm not moving the heat lamp 20 times around the car. Though I could. But I'm not. So, this one's got this. Stainless steel bolts. Looks like we're going to do most of the vehicle with stainless steel fasteners. Polished button heads.
Some of them will be original, where you don't see them. But the ones you see are going to be polished stainless. I buy them at a place called Fasteners. I've been buying stainless bolts. I have one bin that is strictly stainless. You can get stainless screws, nuts, bolts, everything. And Fasteners sort of specializes in the stainless, so I can get anything I need there. So they used to come by my shop, but like I say, I've been gone for a few years, so they don't come by here anymore. So I will be taking a day and going for a drive once I get a list of all the parts I need, the bolts, clips, shims, and pick it all up and fasten on one stop. It's nice, you don't have to worry about paint. The problem being, if I use normal factory bolts, I'm going to paint the heads, and then I'm going to put them in with the wrench, and I'm going to chip up the paint. It's going to make a mess, and it's not going to look great. So by using stainless, everything's painted, it's beautiful. I just run them in. I use Teflon dope on stainless bolts, nuts, and run them in, and it looks great. I've seen, I know JF, he bought some stainless buttons, I think. He gets crazy, not crazy. He gets extreme. That's why he is who he is. He gets the jobs he does. But I believe, put every bolt he did on the car into a metal lathe and machined a relief in it, just so it's one only. He's the only guy. And that's pretty cool. And that's attention to detail. With round button heads, indexing your bolts so they all have the heads facing the same way doesn't really come up as much. It does to a point, but you don't notice it because the outside edge of the bolts is all round. I still index the heads of all my screws. Again, just like the light switch covers in your house, all the screws vertically or sideways or whichever, but make them all the same. That's what we like to do. Then you know they're tight just by looking, because they all line up. One that's out of line is not tight. So I'm just going over to make sure I don't have any burn throughs. Actually, I think Pat's Auto is going to drop out tomorrow. It's almost time for me to get some more of that gear wrench. I'm thinking I might need some 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch. I haven't quite decided which is most important. Anyway, right now, I'm going to flip this over. And then there's one little spot on the outside. I've got to put some filter on. I gotta be careful. There. Yeah, right here. And that hole's clean. Yeah, so I'm just gonna lightly scuff it, make sure it's good. And there's some loose edges here I gotta clean up. So I'll get all that done. Cassidy had all this finished off, but I just go over it gently because I filled stuff on it, or put nicks in it. I just go over it slightly, make sure it's all good. Yeah, it's good. So it's kind of fun being down there. I didn't have to work. Mike's going crazy trying to get a whole bunch of work done. And Cassidy's trying to get her stuff done before she's helping Mike get his stuff done. Looks like Mike needs a shop manager. Mike sucks at retirement. Anyway, got some tool builds going on. Connor was up giving them a hand, which is good. What's that? Okay. Okay. Just a little more. Okay. Okay. So, hood, door, rear gate. We got the doors ready. This fender's ready. Hood's almost ready. I got to get another stand for the other door, and I got to clean up around the headlight on one fender, and then I'm ready. Okay, so we are almost ready. We have to do a major cleanup on the booth, but we've got our parts hanging up. We've addressed any tiny little parts. I will do the inners after the outside is primed. That's when that'll be finished. So we've got this all ready to go. Now, got the fan going. I'm gonna start blowing things out. Clean this up. Once we get the outside primed, then I can epoxy the inside, and we're gonna do box liner on the inside of that area. And then we can also sand the inner fenders, which bolt on in here. This side gets painted. That side would be getting rock guarded, box liner. So, we're almost ready. It's been a bit of a day, but it takes some time. It's never ready until it's ready. So, we're gonna do some cleaning up, and then we'll mix up some primer. Alright, I don't recommend many things that I'm about to do. I'm trying to find my gloves. Trying to be, there we go. Okay. Yeah, these are good gloves. So, normally, I would say don't mix a gallon at once. Been a long day. Just went and had supper with Dad. Now, I still got to get this primer on. So, I'm not sure why this has clips on it. Anyhow, so I'm going to mix it. And I'm going to commence to spraying pretty quick. That hurt. This is acting like it's a fresh gallon. I guess maybe it is. Yes, I suppose it is. So, I don't know. I gotta stir it up first. I could do it by hand. This is way quicker. And this is polyester, 4:1 epoxy based, I think is what you call it. Polyester. What? Waterborne paint compatible. That's important. Not for this job. Normally I spray waterborne. So, okay, so I'm at least going to mix the first cup separately, maybe the first cup. It's a 4:1. There's your mix, 4:1. That's the name of the product. Okay, so I'm gonna go get one of my mixing cups. I'm gonna mix the first bit on its own. Get used to it, try it out. Be right back when I get a mixing cup here. These are a bit pricey, but they have every demarcation on for mixing different styles of paint. I am going to go, this is 4:1, so it's the same as 8:2. So if I fill it up to 8 with primer, I go up to the 10, that's 4:1, 8:2. So, I will dump these in there. Where's my 8? And we're going to do that again. Now, two things. This is going to let me see how far one mix goes. And then I'll be able to decide if I want to mix the rest of it all at once. I got to get a razor blade to cut this out. These, materials are expensive. You don't want to waste them. Use them right. It's the same thing as you do your body work really nice. So hopefully you only have to prime it once, and then maybe spot prime a couple areas. So it comes down to time is money, but wow, materials are not cheap. That one. What's that one? So, if this goes right, and why wouldn't it? Then I'll just mix the rest right inside the gallon, and who knows, 1 gallon might even do it for what we're doing. But we are doing 2 doors, 2 fenders, a hood. I would expect that's going to take more than a gallon, most likely. So, just takes a little bit to mix up. It's high viscosity. Used to be we bought primer and it was like 4.8, which meant 4.8 gallons or pounds per gallon. Anyhow, there's a lot going on here. It is a science. Follow the directions. I didn't want to use the big drill mixer in these tiny little cups. I may get Colby here to help out. If I get this done early enough, I'll try to call it tonight, but it's getting late. We'll see how far we get with this primer. You can really tell it's starting to cook. It's all bubbling. Cauldron. Okay. As always, I wear my mask. Now, this is my gun, an unnamed company. Alright. I'll go hook this gun up and then I'll move the camera in there so you can see. It's hard to give you a good shot of what's going on. I'll show you a bit because I don't want to mess up, lose camera. All about domestic bliss, isn't it? So I'll start with this one so you can see it. Okay.
Okay, so you can still hear the fan going. There's the beautiful primer door, lower front fenders, a rear gate, another beautiful fender, shiny hood, another fine looking fender, even looks awesome on the inside. And another door up there. That was a good day, really good day. Now, tomorrow, all this is gonna go through that door up to the lean-to, that's the 22 Chev, so that we can get the body. We want this body inside in the booth. We may prime the whole, both quarters and roof, rockers. I'm not sure yet. I may do the bodywork and the firewall first, not too sure, but all this has to move and get this into the booth. Once this body's in primer, then I'll feel that I've earned the right to spend a few hours making up a very cool shaker hood scoop. So tomorrow will be a great day. Cheers.